participants and distinguished guests. A very warm welcome to Conversations at Foothills by ISRA. The focus of our topic to resonate deeply with the challenge of our time, the impact of post-truth era on human society and navigate its challenges. Today, we have brilliant minds from across the globe right here in Pakistan.
If you want a future, you can make it. And the truth is the power. And the power behind civilizations, religions, and government. But also line is a power. So let's see how the post-truth can help and is driving the world in a different direction we expect before.
Thank you. I'm Kyeong-woo from South Korea. I think I can raise one question about the change of newsmakers. Before, I think, beginning of 21st century, the big media just only provide us news. They can control the flow of information. Yes. So we are all need to watch TVs, internet news from big media. But now, every individual produce their own information, their own news. That can create a lot of confusion. Confusion, and also it can be a cause of misinformation, disinformation. That can cause the post-truth era. That will be a big difference from now, from the current situation, post-truth era, and then government making propaganda that had been typical in the 19th century and 20th century.
A good subject now will be how we can control that, how we can overcome. Yeah. Can you please?
I think that this transition from the mega institutions to the individual journalism actually helps in some cases, like in the case of Gaza. So everyone is reporting live what's going on in Gaza. Right. And this helped to shift the opinion, especially in the Western countries. So the BBC in the first and CNN, they report from their point of view, yes, the point that supports Israel in its attacks. Okay. While this individual journalism helps enlighten the people. That's why we saw in the demonstration many youth, they actually using these outlets, social media outlets, they saw the facts on the ground. They actually participate in the demonstration against the attacks on innocent people. So it's all not all negative aspect. There is a positive aspect here.
And Yanyu, what do you think about it? How will be a solution to control the medias? How to realize what is true, what is not true?
So I would look at it more from an opportunity lens. The current truth is that information is fastly being disseminated. The 20th century, it took a century to double the information, to double knowledge. Now it is every 12 hours, as per statistics. Whatever we are trying to do is for the betterment of the 8 billion people. Whatever we are trying to do is in an age which is defined by 5 Ts. For me, all these 5 Ts lead to an uncertain world, but at the same time provide that opportunity which helps us all converge onto the UN Sustainable Development Goals and primarily focus on zero hunger in terms of enabling opportunities for all, enabling reduced inequalities. But if with so much of information flowing in, should we spend more time in validating what's right and wrong? Or should we have platforms where people will have standardization, people can speak a common language, people have a mediation platform where you can put in your complaints and that can be dealt separately and then can be responded to. But this should not be happening at the expense of the larger human good. So you see, there will always be two perspectives. There are always two sides of the coin. We should encourage diversity. We should encourage multipolarization. We should encourage inclusivity, which focus on equitability. So it will not be equal for all, but it will be equitable in terms of the proportionate ratio that you represent.
So, and also we can talk about how fast that can go, how fast we can come with another solution.
And I think the biggest challenge, as all our colleagues mentioned, is basically the credibility of the information in today's age. Information that's free flow, world has become one small village. Like you get multiple sources of information every day, all the time. There's too much overload of information. And then obviously that also gives rise to different quarters, different people to sell or push their narratives accordingly also. But I think, like as we say that the truth and transparency, every person has a right to his or her own decision. So that's the biggest challenge in today's world. To make that informed decision, every individual needs to have credible information. What is agenda selling and what is the truth or what is transparency? So that needs to be focused. And as far as you mentioned that how fast it can be done, I think around the world, as I mentioned, 8 billion people, different nations, different countries, different groups, different ethnic groups, everyone is at a different level, of literacy, of information. The level of information you have in the West or in the States might be much higher than what you have in Africa for that matter, or in the developing countries for that matter. But I think the biggest challenge is that we need to make sure that such standards are implemented where the whole population of the world should rise together, rather than peace should prevail and the population should rise together, rather than having silos or niche for that matter.
Exactly. Please.
I think there's an element of comprehension and understanding as well that plays a factor. Two people reading the same book may take a completely different meaning out of it. So that's a very important factor, which is often encouraged by your environment or your internal biases. And that's something you can't really regulate or monitor, because when you're talking about the globe, multiple ethnicities, multiple experiences, cultures. So what needs to be done is, in some ways, bring people more towards tolerance of a different opinion or a different point of view, as long as it doesn't break the norms of humanity and it confines within what is considered decent. So there needs to be rules of engagement. For example, on Twitter, as an example, which has become quite synonymous with how people communicate quickly, and people are finding that as a medium for rapid access to information globally. There needs to be an ethical guideline to what is acceptable and what is not. What are matters that can be discussed and what should not. And that is not for the regulator to do, but more it is a check for those outlets to do. That these are the lines that you should not be crossing. And if anyone does, we're simply going to block those accounts, because that's not the type of messaging that we want our platforms to be used for. Disseminating hate, not allowed.
So we are talking about global governance of communications. Can you just have
Okay, and I'm Vicky from Hong Kong, China, and I'm a journalist. And actually, from the media perspective, I do think that it is our responsibility to seek truth, right, as a journalist. But I think seeking truth is difficult right now, especially in that internet like booming and social media prevailing, short videos prevailing moment. Actually, you can receive a lot of information in no time. So how do you select? And how do you prove that something you got is true? I mean, like, you can see like news popping up all the time. I mean, you can like receive like some kind of information, but how do you fact check it? And right now, everybody goes online. I mean, the news media has a lot of pressure, because if you are not reporting something you saw on internet, maybe your competitors going to cover it. So that's actually putting pressure on us too. We have limited time to fact check.
The race of coming first.
Yes, I mean, who comes first? I mean, the competition between like our competitors. Who will like first report it? Is it true or not? It's just like you have no time to decide. That's very difficult. And the other thing is like on the TikTok or like short video platform, you see a lot of videos, but they are in a very, very fragmented way, right? I mean, it's so fragmented that, what actually this whole story is about. It is so difficult to prove. I mean, it's hard to understand. You just see a little bit of the information. You don't see the whole picture. And actually, many companies, actually, they just like report it.
And just one thing to add to this, you see, in terms of information governance, interest drives progress, but at the same time, there's conflict of interest. So as happens in governance, how well do you disclose that, and how well do you stay away from information areas, topics, reporting, where you have a direct interest? So that is where governance can really help the post-truth era opportunities.
Absolutely. Please.
I would like to refer the post-truth era and its challenges in a way
I had an opportunity to get an online media journalism training from writers 2 years back. So the main thing, obviously, when there was a traditional media like TV or newspaper, the editor has obviously the responsibility of verification of the facts. Obviously, opinion can be anybody's own opinion, but however, the fact should be universal and nobody can distort the fact. But now, considering the medium that we have, everybody's editor at their own. Whoever takes the podium or the mic becomes the media celebrity next day. So, what is important for an audience like us to differentiate between the perception and the reality? Because that is very important. We all have our biases towards truth, but obviously in that truth we have to define a fine line between the reality and fact and what is perception. And do we need to see things as perception, or the larger, probably the populace opinion wants us to see that fact in that way? Or do we need to, challenge it and go the basics and do the basics fact checks? Like if a picture is coming to us in the AI, era, where anybody can make anyone's picture or even video of saying anything.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes, exactly. So in this era of AI, it is very important for common audience to get training like this for some time, that how to check facts before believing it as a fact or truth. So this is my opinion. Maybe like in schools already, there is a part of syllabus that schools have started teaching to the kids that how to use social media and how to use it responsibly. So I think this, again, the burden lies with the audience.
Let's go to practice what we do as a journalist. What is in daily life, what we can do. You are a journalist.
Yeah, of course.
What do you do in practical?
Like Vicky said, that you are competing with other online journalism, and we are, especially for the written news, the newspaper, we already delay. So we are published next
Once a
day.
day.
Yeah. So if you have like in Al Ahram, it's the daily written newspaper and the online. In the same outlets, in the same newspaper. So actually, I'm competing with my colleagues, because and this is a big challenge, because if I have to wait to verify the information, he will post it online, and then I'll not be out of the race. So
You want to be in the race.
I want to be in the race.
So that's a good point, because it's a risk to be a journalist.
This is a big conflict. Actually, I'm not competing with another newspaper. I'm competing inside.
But just to add on to what Iman is saying, I think ethical values, morality, and that should take precedence. Like the race of coming first is important. They say it is important to be nice, but it is more nice to be important. So I think this is the biggest challenge, what we are discussing as a group, the post-truth era. I think the biggest challenge is that because commercialization has happened globally, there's a race to come first, and that's why news get distorted. They get, people get confused, and there's less stress on transparency and independence of the news and the fact check, basically.
Therein lies the solution.
Yes.
Because people are rushing not to verify information because they want to be first to report it, because that means maximum views, or it is based on sensationalism. Catch it by exactly that. What is leading you to be first is the penalty that when you do it wrong, which means you put heavy fines on those who misreport.
Yes.
Because it balances that out.
But in some societies, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Our challenge as a journalist is to find out the equilibrium in.
But what he's saying is right.
Yes, after they publish this incorrect news, they actually corrected.
Correct.
And they make the rich in the fake news, and then they make the rich out of the.
But what if you earn more than what you pay as penalty?
Actually, I have one point to make. I'm sorry.
It's a business.
Corporations do it, right? So corporations know they're breaking
Yeah.
the law.
Yeah.
They break it,
No,
and
I
they're
think
fined.
it boils down to
fine someone for insider trading.
Sometimes they publish a topic, and then when you read the whole, it doesn't match with the
Match with
topic.
the
But the
topic.
topic is very catchy, and you
So
open
just-
it and check
just
it,
to
and then
wrap
you
up,
can, yes, yeah.
I have one point. I'm sorry. I have really one point to make first, because like we are talking about the media. How do we operate, right? But in fact, do you think that the war on misinformation or the war on fake news is actually some kind of right-wing agenda? As long as the left, because the mainstream media is usually the left wing, and the left wing itself has some kind of political correctness to follow. I mean, in the past decades, I mean, they have something
Some agenda or some
yes,
narrative.
I mean, like they're so bounded by political correctness, like Black Lives Matters. Yeah, and they are not like fair enough sometimes.
So you need
Yeah, I mean-
both wings to fly.
I mean,
So
like,
you are
it is-
asking who set the agenda for the?
Yeah, I mean, it's somehow like let the right wing have the opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, to like
Yeah.
challenge your credibility right now.
Fair enough. So just to wrap up, I think we're running short on time. I think what we've discussed the challenges, we've discussed what post-truth era is, and we've discussed a couple of solutions also. As he said, we need to stop, keep a control on the commercialization of news. We need to have more ethical and moral values, some kind of standardization, as Asu said. Yeah, all right. We are really grateful to ISRA for providing us an opportunity and a platform with so many individuals from different countries, different perspectives, different backgrounds, coming here, sharing their views. I think it's an amazing opportunity for us to learn and to share this information with our colleagues. Thank you.
As our freestyle discussion on the impact of post-truth era comes to an end, I'm truly inspired by the thoughts of diverse participants. Let's carry forward this wisdom. Thanks to all contributors for enlightening this session.